total revenue is exactly equals to your total cost. So that's the point here. Note that point, very important. E2 is the biologist point. This is a fishing effort the biologist will recommend. If you are deciding to use biology, you will recommend that you go out with this amount of fishing effort. Why? Because it will give you the largest potential catch, the maximum sustainable yield point. So it will give you the largest quantity of fish that you can take, given the biology of the fish. So that is that. Now, if you are an economist, you don't just count fish, you count dollars, right? So that in that case, you will recommend E1. Why? Because that is the point at which the gap between your total cost and your total revenue is the largest. So E1 is the effort that will maximize your benefit from the resource. And that is what fisheries economists will recommend. Okay, so these are three key equilibrium points. Maximum economic yield, that's the economist's equilibrium. Maximum sustainable yield, the biologist. And the bioeconomic is actually the equilibrium at which there is no profit made. You're balancing exactly your cost. And the reason that is so important in fisheries is that if you have a fishery without any regulation, this is where it will end up, if you have rational economic agents. Because if you are here, there's so much money to be made. So what will they do? They will come up, either new people will come in, or those in will buy bigger boats, because there's a lot of economic potential. They push it this way, there's still money to be made, until you get to that, and there's no money to be made. So it's not attractive for new people to come into the fishery, or even for those in there to increase their fishing effort. And so you stop there. Most fisheries that are not properly managed are at this point, because that's the economic natural place you will be, because it will make money.
They would stop, but with subsidies, they...
Oh my God, if you have subsidies, what do you do? What will subsidies do to this? For example, if you give subsidies for fuel, which is very common, about $6.5 billion is paid by government around the world to support their fuel, to allow their boats to get fuel. In Ghana, for example, they have what they call premix. So they mix, there is a special gas, petrol, that is called premix, which is made specifically for the boats. So it's a different quality, and that is subsidized. But that doesn't stop people with transportation business to use that for their trucks, right? Because it's cheap, they buy it and then they destroy the engine, huh? Okay. Yeah, so yeah, if you have that, what that will do is, if you have a fuel subsidy, this curve will be swung that way. So for example, you might have, the cost curve will then change to this. And therefore, the new equilibrium, bioeconomic equilibrium will be here. See? So more fishing. And that is why people like me go around the world talking about harmful subsidies. It just takes the fish down. So good point. Yeah?
I'm wondering what is the realistic curve of the total cost of the fish?
Yeah, oh my God. That's what I said. There's a lot of literature on that. And it depends on the fishery, right? For example, if you have pelagic fish, right, and they go in schools, big schools, the cost curve is different from if you have the demersal stocks that are spread around the ocean, right? Because in the case of the pelagic stock, all you need is to find them. Once you find them, you just collect them, right? Yeah. So that affects your fishing costs. But if it is demersal, you have to change the fish almost one by one, and that has a different implication on your cost. So this is a whole, yeah.
I was wondering, the curve should be always linear, or at first it is steady?
Not always linear. That I can tell you for sure. I mean, not always linear at all. I mean, you have concave, you have quadratic curves. People have that. You have piecewise, so you have linear, partly, and non-linear, and so on. There are tons of different shapes that this can take. Theoretically, this is beautiful. Yes?
But once you deplete the fish, the price goes up.
Yeah. Okay. This is a static model.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So once you get into dynamic modeling, lots of things happen. Yeah. So what it's saying is that if you take the fish down, you may actually not lose economically because the price of your fish may go up. So you catch less, but you still make more money, and that is potentially possible, yeah. Except that empirically, when we look at fish prices, in real terms, they don't change much, which is a surprise, actually.
They don't change?
No, because there are many substitutes, right? It's not like if you don't eat fish, you go there. Right? You can eat tofu and actually get going better. When we do the series, we always see something really very little change in the over time. Yeah.
For example, the anchovy price changes between 6 lira to 15 lira. It depends on how much they catch. But for example, if they catch more, they just put them back into the sea. You know, they just want to keep the price.
Yeah. So they're playing with the price. You know, if you have a small market, you can really do this, right? So maybe the market you're talking about is just for that village or town, and the fish, the main supply is just from your waters. But if it is a global market, you can't do that, you lose, right? Because you cannot influence the market. But where there's opportunity to influence the market, you can have this coming into play. They just don't, they catch just enough for the price to be at some point, and so you see that in some fisheries.
Almost every business does this really in some ways, don't they? Like you might get a company that makes a new LCD TV, and initially when they put it out, they make a lot of money off it. But eventually they reach that point where the total cost for them to do it is sort of at a balance. And like with fishing, that most companies will take to that point, but then they'll spend all of their effort trying to get their fishing costs down, and they're in that cycle of essentially improving being in that location, being either cheaper to run a fishing fleet. In Australia, that's been a huge change with new boats, efficient diesels, echo sounders, and everything else.
So what you're saying is you're talking about, when we do this equilibrium point, we're looking at the marginal fishing. So there are different types of fish, people fishing a given thing. The marginal fisher is at TC plus TR. But there are inframarginal fishers who make money. And these are the kind of people who are able to improve their fishing. They're good, so their costs are lower than the average in the industry, or the marginal cost. So you can make money even at this point. And one thing I should also talk about, when we say that TC, TR equals to TC, I'm saying that there's no money to be made. Actually, I need to be a bit more precise there. We talk about normal profit. This for profit, please. Can you see at the back? Yeah, good. People have good eyes. Normal profit. And normal profit is essentially the payment to those who invest their capital in the fish. So if you loan money for them to use, you are paid the return on your capital, which is equivalent to what you would get if you invested your money somewhere else. So that is, we call that normal profit, and this is included in your total cost. See? So even at this point, the capitalists get their normal profit. You pay them because it's, for you as a business person, that is a cost, right? So you include it in your total revenue cost. For example, if you are using 100,000 in your fishing business, you bought a boat. If the interest rate on that a year is 10%, so you have 10,000, right? That 10,000 should be put in your total cost equation. And that will then be covered at that point. Now, the profit I'm talking about, which is loss, is what we call abnormal profit. That is abnormal profit. And this is possible because this is a renewable resource which we did not plant. Remember, fish is a gift of nature, so it has value in itself. And that is what this abnormal profit does to you. Now, if you allow the fishing fleet to to increase to E3, you lose this value because they competed on the wasting. You hear a lot when you read the economics literature, we talk about rent dissipation. Okay, so in normal businesses that are not like fish, where you have a gift from nature, all the profit they can make is actually this normal profit. Because if you're doing a bakery, right, if there's super profits to be made, new bakeries will come in and that is gone. So in normal businesses, you are always at that TC equals TR. Am I confusing people here? Does this make sense? This is a lot of economics, right? It's not all your circulation models. So. Yeah, so this is, for those of you interested, you can really read about this a lot more. Yeah. I hope I answered your question, that there are some who will still make money, the good ones, the efficient ones.
I guess partly what I was saying is a lot of companies and businesses might think of their entire activities as occupying that kind of space where max rent is written. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but so that entire area, the whole bulgy bit from the start right through to the finish. Yeah. That sort of whole bulgy bit is actually what the companies will think about, because they know that when the fisheries is starting up, they got lots of profit, but they have to keep that profit aside to be better technology later, and they know that later on they might have to get a new fisheries or something. Well, for many companies, I guess a small scale might end up rapidly, yes, and not be able to do very much.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough, fair point. They're the information of the guys who come. Yeah. And then, yes.
I think the only force to reach, to increase fishing effort is, looks like employment, because it is the only factor increasing, because benefit is decreasing, but employment is increasing.
So you are telling me that, if I understand you well, if you are a fisheries manager, you may want to be here because you get to employ more people, right? And some politicians actually argue that. And some of my biology friends argue that. Carl Waters has come to me and said, what the hell are you guys talking about? Maximizing rent? Because we can trade on that rent for more people to work with. So if unemployment is a big problem, that could be a good reason, but then you don't need to get out of the economic model to do that. If unemployment is too high, what you're telling me is that the cost of fishing is really low, right? Because opportunity cost of labor is low. So then this thing will come down our way, right? And so you can take it, even with the EY will also shift that way. So, for example, if the fishing cost is completely zero, let's see, if fishing cost is zero, this thing will fall on its name, and therefore the maximum will be that. So you can employ more people, right? So there is room in the model to do this, depending on
So it's not economically or biologically beneficial, but only socially.
on the social side, yeah. So if you really want to employ people, lots of people, you can even let E1 be here. All I can tell you is that means very soon there will be no job at all.
Yeah,
You will
be
empty
better
the
off.
ocean.
You'd
And
be
this
better
happens.
off if you pay people not to fish at that situation.
What did he say?
You will be better off if you pay people not to fish in this situation than you pay them to fish.
Yeah, I would think so. But politicians don't think so. And then they have elections, they have votes like we talked about, yeah.
Can I use an additional explanation for the curve that increases? It's because the supply is too strong than the demand. Is that a factor that matters?
The supply is too strong than the demand. I don't know what you exactly mean, but what I can say, and you can correct me here, is that the supply is fixed. That is what is important here, because it's nature. There is just some amount of fish you can continue to take in. So if that is what you meant, the supply side is more restricted in that sense. Is it close to what you're thinking?